Good morning to my people on the live stream. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, good morning, fellow Death of a Dreamers. That's right. It's such a dramatic title. Such a dramatic entrance into this world of podcasting. And it's so strange, when you see the title and you're like, the death of a dream. This is going to get weird, right? And the artwork really is very bright and vivacious and like, oh, this doesn't make sense, right? There's a disconnect here between the artwork and the name. And I think that's intentional. And I know early on, I had no idea how to design anything. I had found this wall, the yellow one that you see here, and I love textures and different colors. And so it just kind of spoke to me. And I think now stepping back from it, the artwork really makes perfect sense because I had inevitably hit this wall, and that's what the artwork is. It's a wall. It's a yellow wall, duh. But to me, the wall, while deeply affecting me, it was still hard for me to not paint it yellow, right? I'm an eternal optimist. And so for me, I had to still have the yellow wall, but recognize the darkness that was this moment for me. And that comes to play in the title. And it's simplistic and deeply affected, but at the same time, there's still this need to find joy, to find the light, to be the brightness. And so a dark background didn't make sense because I knew the underlying tone would always be happy, right? And bright. And while I had to walk through a heck of a lot of darkness, still am, it was important to convey both sides of what this was. And so the artwork now speaks perfectly. I don't know that it made perfect sense back then, but now it makes perfect sense. With everywhere that we've been, with everywhere that we're going. And that really speaks to this movement of the death of a dream, of this reality that you can be walking through life and your life can be perfectly fine, right? My wall was bright yellow. It was fine. It was even painted my favorite color, but it was still a wall. It was still something that I needed to get past in order to get to true self, even though it was seemingly fine. Right? It was still a wall. So let's go ahead. There's some background that you certainly didn't ask for, but now you know. Let's dive into my great thing. Yesterday, oh my gosh. So I'm ridiculous, and I've carried around this fear forever. We used to, very rarely, but we would go to Minnesota, to my great grandpa's cabin on a lake. And don't think of lake house with a bunch of windows and a bunch of rooms. This was we would all cram in, and the beds were separated by curtains, and the cabin was teeny tiny. There were beds every inch. You were basically sleeping right next to someone. My brother and I slept on a pull-out couch that was, I'm pretty sure the mattress had hay in it still. Everything in there was old because it was just an old fisherman's cabin. It wasn't, we used it for a family space, but really it was just an old fisherman's cabin that was built. It was old. Good people. Anyways, we used to go there once in a while, once in a blue moon. But every time we went there, we would drive through a field or two of wind turbines, right? Those big, maybe you don't have them where you're from, but in Iowa, we're getting more and more of these. And they're like big white windmills, huge. Okay, the creepier thing is when it's dark, they all blink red at the same time. And I'm just saying, like when you're driving through a field of these at night, it is so creepy. And don't roll down the window because you'll hear the winter. Just don't. Okay, so anyways, so when we would drive past these fields of wind turbines, my sisters, I'm the youngest sister, and then I have a younger brother, and I have two older sisters. My sisters every time would be like, hide under the seats. And I don't know if it was because they were just trying to mess with us or because they wanted us to just finally shut up on like this 5-hour drive. But every time they would be like, hide under the seats, hide under the seats. If you don't hide under the seats, the wind turbine blades will come off and chop off your head. Hide under the seats. And so every time we would hide under the seats. And I remember this so clearly in my brain. So clearly. And we would do that pretty much every summer. I'm sure eventually I was like, yeah, okay. But I still am a little bit afraid of driving by these wind turbines because of that experience. And I know that it doesn't happen, right? I know that that's not true, except for yesterday. Okay. Yesterday, I read this article that these blades of some wind turbines have come off, just fallen off. I don't know what's going on. I really couldn't even fully absorb the article because I'm just like, oh no, this is it. this is what I've been saying. I remember playing basketball at a high school who had a wind turbine and it created most of their energy for their school, which is super cool. I love energy. I'm all for this renewable energy. Come on, bring it more. But I remember walking in and like having to hold my hand over my ears and just not look up. Like I was nauseous. I felt this weird energy that I couldn't even explain coming out of my body in reaction to this wind turbine. And that has lived with me every day. I remember being on buses in college, going to games and having to drive through these fields and like covering myself with anything that I could to just like escape the anxiety that's coming from these turbines. All because my sisters claimed that these wind turbines could come off, that the blades could come off and chop my head off. Which, like, it wouldn't chop my head off, right? It would just smash the entirety of our vehicle. Okay, that's the reality, but in my little 10-year-old brain, that was perfectly possible. Okay, so yesterday I did a post, like, these things are certainly evil, and then, oh no, I just opened myself up to conspiracy theories like you would not believe. And then someone posted like, really? Wow, that's pretty extreme. And I'm just like, hey, troll, hold on. This is just funny. I'm just being funny. Like, I don't actually think that these are going to rise up and take, like, I'm just saying this was a childhood fear and it's actually happening. Like these blades are actually falling off and I understand that they're not whirling into the world and chopping people's heads off, but I'm saying this happened. I have this fear. I'm just saying. So anyways, I think it's just the world that we're living in right now, right? Like this extreme of varying opinions and people's offensiveness that they take to it, because this person was like out for blood and I just commented back like, no, this is just LOL, this is just a childhood fear, it's just kind of funny. I am in no way gonna do a YouTube channel on how these things are killing different things. Like, I'm not there with these. I'm literally here for this story because this is why I spent at least an hour of every trip to Minnesota hiding under van seats. Okay? Anyways, I don't think that there's any great thing that even comes out of this. Actually, I just think the great thing is I've had that fear for a long time. When we just went to South Dakota, we were driving through fields. I used to be in such fear of these that I would have to pull the visors of the vehicle up so I couldn't see them. Like, I would shield myself from even seeing that they were existing around me. And last weekend, I could drive through fields of them. Now that this story came out, I don't know that I'll be able to as bravely. Because I had been telling myself, like, Hannah, that's not going to happen. You're being ridiculous. This isn't possible. Please stop. Okay? Go to my Facebook page, people. Read it. Find it. You will find it. And when you do, you'll know that maybe my sisters were right. Maybe they weren't just trying to scare me or shut me up or whatever. But really my great thing is that I have healed some of that scarcity, that scariness that existed in my life for a very long time. That fear drove a lot of action. And it's getting more. Like, guys, I live in a state where the actual license plate, like most places have a cool animal or they have something. Iowa has wind turbines on their license plates, on their driver's license. Okay, this is what you should know. I refuse to have a vehicle with a wind turbine license plate. I cannot help the license, but you should know that I have considered moving out of this state because of the wind turbine takeover. Okay? There have been actual conversations. I am trying to heal myself. This story certainly did not help. But I am getting better and avoiding them less. That's my great thing. That's sort of a tangent moment. I'm just saying wind turbines are good, I think. I don't know. I still have a childhood fear, and I don't quite know where I stand on them. I have done no research on the benefits, on the negativities. This is literally based off of a childhood fear produced by my older siblings. That's it. Okay, let's go ahead and dive all the way in because there's no way to avoid it. So I've been sitting on where we take the interview series as I contemplate, like, what have we covered, where have we gone, and where do we want to go? And as I'm getting more and more opportunities to interview people, I think there's so many more places that we can take this. So I've been sitting with this, like, what do we want to do? Because I've been talking with the people who will line up November and December, which is extremely exciting. And, you know, we have been doing Empower Women Wednesdays, which I think has been so amazing because I've been talking to such amazing people on identity, on, you know, things that they do to help people. And I think where we're going next will really just be a storytelling series where I interview people about, you know, how they're finding freedom to move away from the life that they were told they should live, freedom from, you know, anything really. And I think that'll be so inspiring, because what I'm hoping is that I take people who were or still very much are in very real situations, and they just decided that that wasn't fitting them anymore. And really my goal here is to produce enough interviews with real people who just decided, no more. This isn't free to me. Right? No more. I can't be this person anymore. I can't. It's stifling me. It's hurting me. I can't. Right? Ugh. And obviously I've gone through that, okay? And really, like, I want to just start showcasing these people, these very real, very story. Like, I want to bring on enough people where you can just see yourself in that person and decide to make that move for yourself, right? And I think that's just, it's going to be so serving to this community, to where we need to go, to where we've been, right? Like, we've kind of powered up, and now I want to start to show you that it's more than just me doing this. Like, I'm not alone in wanting to find this freedom, in hoping to make a change that helps me, right? Or helps you to find yourself. This isn't singular. And yet your approach and your experience and your movement is. But you don't have to be alone in this idea that you want more. I want to bring on people who are striving for more, who are fighting for more, and who are fighting for freedom more than anything. So we have, I think, one more interview to air next week of the Empower Women Wednesday. And then we'll move beautifully into the Freedom series. And I think we'll move those to Friday, because I love things that start with the same letter. Okay? You should know this. Which, I don't know. I don't know how much I love it. I love things that have like a ring that makes sense. So I'm bouncing around with Freedom Finder Friday, Finding Freedom Friday, something like that. So the interview series in November, sorry. Oh my gosh, please tell me it's not going to be November next week. I mean, it's not going to be next week, but like in a week. Okay. Wow. Here we are. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's where we're going to go. And I'm so excited, because here's the thing. It's just lonely. That's why we keep doing this every day. Because I can still feel myself when I started. And for her, right? This is help. This is help. This is every day. This is a safe space to come home to when you're questioning like where you want to go, if you should keep going. Like, keep going. Keep going. Keep striving to find yourself. I don't know the things that I'm discovering about myself now. And the reason that I'm discovering them was because I gave myself freedom to explore it. And that was so scary. Beyond. Right? But I had to give myself permission to go there. And for the longest time, I had been avoiding it, because it definitely was easier. But I knew deep to my core that if I didn't go in, that if I didn't start to figure out what it was going to look like for me, that I would suffer forever, right? And now, moving into 3 years of this daily work, trying to figure out who I'm supposed to be, what makes me. Like, I'm amazed every day at how the path just perfectly leads you where you're supposed to go. I think it's the most beautiful and amazing thing. I'm amazed that it was that easy, and yet it wasn't, right? But I am amazed that the world really did roll out for me, because I truly believed. I went into this work completely spiteful. Like, yeah, okay, the world rolls out for people who can roll out the dough first, okay? Not for you. And it's just not true. And I set out to prove that it wasn't true. Like, that it wasn't real. That I was right. That it was not real. That the world does not unroll for you. And here I am sitting in a world that has unrolled beautifully. And I just know for you to get into the depths of who you are will never, ever not serve you. It won't. And so today, like, if you've been avoiding the work, if you've been avoiding the silence, if you've been avoiding all of those things, today I want you to make a stand and say, I'm done avoiding. I'm done. I can't do it. I can't live as this person, as this shell. Because that's essentially what I was. I was a shell. I was intentionally shelling myself off from feeling any emotion, from fully showing up as who I knew that I was supposed to be, because it was scary to find out who she was. And even scarier still, right? There's still this fear in me that says, like, this person can't exist in this world. She doesn't belong. Right? And that fear is deeply, deeply seated. Because it started when it was 7. It started when I was 7 years old. So turning that over, right? That's the biggest battle. And I know that I'm sitting with that fear right now. And we're sitting right in the room together and we're like having conversations. And I'm saying, no, fear, seriously, we're good. Like, you don't serve me anymore. You need to leave. Right? And I know that there are promises out there for me. I know that there are places that we need to take this. And I know that most of my fight is for you. Is to show you what's possible. Because my guess is my dreams are way dumber than yours. Or at least more unrealistic. But everybody's dreams are unrealistic. That's how you know you got it right. You're on the right path. If it seems stupid, keep going. Right? But like, the fear of the unknown, the fear of finding a person that I have to relearn navigation, right? Because navigating as the person who doesn't feel is easy. It's so easy. And I already wanted that, right? Like, I was doing really well. But the internal battle came from knowing that I was showing up as this shell, and the anxiety and the depression and all of those things that played into me not fully living as a person, me showing up as half and asking people to accept that, like, there became extreme discomfort. And the closer that I got to the self-work, the more that I understood that that wasn't really me, that really was just a shell of me. And then more fear set in, because I don't know, do you even want to give people the ability? Because I'm like pro status in past lives at shapeshifting, which made me really good at my job as a marketer, right? Like, I can read and then I can shift. Cool. So I was constantly being what other people wanted me to be, and I really had no say in where my life headed, right? And then, I don't know, 2 years ago happened, and I just realized that I couldn't keep letting other people decide, that I needed to figure out who I was and how I was going to navigate life, because there was a constant battle with the person I was called to be and the person I was showing up as. And that struggle between those two people, I believe, is what caused all of the discomfort, right? It's what caused all the anxiety and depression. And I knew that this person was in there, but I was just fighting the fear of what it would take to show up as that person, right? And I still am very much in that fight. The fear is still standing there looking me in the face and saying, no, 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 sister, even though this is who you are, right? There still isn't really room for her. And that, that's from 7, that's from 11, that's from all the years that I saw that this person, when I just tap my foot in the water of who this person was, I'd get bit. And then I'd just run back. But I think it was in the attempt to show up as just a percentage of that person. Like, you are going to get bit. You're weak, right? You're only a small percentage of who you could be. You're only a percentage of that power, right? If I had jumped in as a whole person, right, maybe the fear would have went away. And so I think right now it's about me understanding the fullness of who I am before I can show up against that fear. Because if I go in 50% again, I know that I'm going to get bit and we're going to tumble back down, right? And that's okay. But I need to first understand the fullness of the power of the person that I'm supposed to be in this space. And that's taken a lot of time, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of questioning. And to the people that I have questioned, if you're listening on this podcast, thank you for being a continued sounding board, for helping to center me on who you know me to be, and to help grow me to who you know I can be. But I think, bottom line, if you're sitting in a space of fear, you will never be disappointed with finding who you're supposed to be in this world. And I would challenge you today to know that some of that fear is just in knowing that you will have immense power. And then you'll have to navigate that, right? Maybe that's where the fear is coming from. What if we unleash this powerful person? She can't operate the way she used to. Yeah. So Call her out. Bring her here. Let's find her. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.